Right, we're good to go. The final presentation of the day will be Tanzanian Gold Corporation. Quick disclosure, of course, I'm involved in the company as the Chief Operating Officer and as Director. So I'll save all the tough questions for Stephen at the end.
I didn't realize you were introducing me.
I am introducing you.
Right.
So thanks for being here in person, Stephen. And Tanzanian Gold Corporation, stephenmullowney, CEO. Over to you, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. As Andrew mentioned, Andrew's the COO, and I'm the CEO of Tanzanian Gold Corporation. So we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're doing. Andrew and I are relatively new to the company. And what you're going to see in this presentation has predominantly been given in the last, I would say, 7 to 8 months in our execution of the Buckreef Project in Tanzania. So without further ado, we need to go. There we go. So, what are we up to? So we're located in the Lake Victoria Greenstone Belt in Tanzania. The Lake Victoria Greenstone Belt has major mines in the area. One is AngloGold Ashanti's Geita Mine Complex. Barrick actually has major mines in the area too, 3 complexes. And OreCorp's mine in project development is located there as well. We are starting off with a great resource base at 2 million ounces at 1.77 grams a ton, and an inferred resources of 635,000 ounces at 1.11 grams a ton. So what are we doing with that resource base, and where are we going with this? The oxides are approximately 10% of that resource base. So we're putting in place, we have currently a test plant running there. We released to the market this week that we've achieved 90% recoveries on our oxide resources, which is great. So we're expanding those. So we're going to expand those to 350 tons per day in October. That facility is predominantly built. And then we're going to expand that further to roughly just over 1,000 tons a day or 40 tons per hour in the next 9 to 12 months. And so that will make the Buckreef project operating cash flow positive, and we'll utilize that cash flow to fund further exploration and enhance the development of the project. Also, we're expanding resources at the project and putting in place an exploration program. We were comfortable when we joined with the prospectivity of the Buckreef main zone. Since then, we've discovered Buckreef West, which is adjacent to the main zone, and the Anfield zone, which is 500 meters from the Buckreef main zone. And we also have a lot of targets around the property, particularly in between Bingwa and Tembo. But ultimately, 90% of the resources currently are in our sulfide project. And so we're going through detailed, we have a drill rig on site this week, starting our MET study for the advanced metallurgical study. The preliminary one was very robust, straightforward flow sheet in a flotation, grind, regrind, and CIL. That achieved recovery rates of over 90%. And we're going to put in the PQ holes over the next 30 days or so, and then those be sent to SGS. But part of the study here too will be looking at a resource to reserve conversion in our program, as well as targeting certain parts of the deposit, given it's open in all directions. So we're very excited for where this is going. The sulfides will be mined. It's a matter of how big and when they're mined. We know that we'll enter that in the next 18 months into the mine plan, the sulfides. They can also be CIL'd from our MET study that was done in this year with SGS and preliminary in the preliminary study. So who's executing this project? We had a relatively new management team. Like I said, we're all here in the last year. The executive team has been turned over. Andrew, COO. I'm COO. Mike Leonard has joined us as CFO. All with great backgrounds in international organizations. On the Tanzanian side, we have Kalaf, who recently joined us, who's a very well-connected businessman in Tanzania and handling our government relations program. We have Gaston and Isaac, who are co-general managers. Gaston helped build Barrick's Buzwagi plant, as well as Teranga Senegal plant, and he's building our current plants. Very good guy to have. Isaac is executing our exploration program along with Andrew. Great additions to our team over last year. So this is an overview of our expanded 350 ton per day oxide plant that's going in. You'll see the open pit. We're going to utilize contract miners. We have crushing capacity of 60 tons per hour on the property currently. That's crushed ore as of last week. The ball mill's being installed, CIL tanks are up, the tailings facility is being built. Come October, when we put this online, we'll produce anywhere from 750 to 800 ounces at a cash cost of roughly $750 to $800 per ounce. So you can do the math, very high return project. The 40-ton plant as well that we'll procure over the next couple months is also a very high returning project, and that will produce around 15 to 20,000 ounces for roughly 5 years of a mine life. Resource expansion. So this is what really excites us. We were very comfortable with the Buckreef main zone. Like I said, there's a drill rig on site today. We're open in the northeast, open in the south, open at depth. The sulfide project, when we look at it, we're going to take a look at taking out that hump and also extending it down to bring some of those resources in, as well as expand the resource base of that deposit. Right next to that, adjacent to it, we had a drill program last year on Buckreef West, and that was a new discovery, so we got to do an infill drill program in that. That will be both oxide and sulfide material. And what really amazed us when we got out there and really explored the properties, this Anfield zone, which is 500 meters to the west of the Buckreef main zone. There was artisanal workings along that. It's in a river valley, currently flooded. And the grab samples that we've received from the workings, from the underground workings, were phenomenal. The lowest one that we have here is 14 grams a ton up to 38 grams a ton. So we're very excited for this. If we look at the rock in that zone, it looks very similar to our Buckreef main zone. And then, as I mentioned before, there's lots of exploration across our entire 16 square kilometer property. We need to do more exploration around that. You are free to come and talk to our COO on what the prospectivity of our property is. With regards to the sulfide project, which is 90% of the resources, as I mentioned earlier, this will get mined. It's just a matter of how quickly we do it. We're going to look at a phased approach for this for this project and utilize cash flow from the project to develop it further. We're coming off a robust PFS that was done in 2018, which had 51,000 ounces and a 74% IRR in that at $1,300 gold. Our goal here would be to make this sulfide project 3 to 4 times as large as that particular project. And the reason why we're confident in that is we have the resource potential upgrade, as well as the resources doubled in 2020 relative to the 2018 PFS. So we're converting those resources to reserves, as I mentioned. We're validating the metallurgical results through the final MET study for the first 1 to 7 years of the project. We're also probably going to test these sulfide ores in the test plant that we're currently doing for the oxides. So once we get to those sulfides, we'll test them in the CIL process, see how they react. We're fairly confident they're going to react pretty good. And we're also going to do the other things that you would typically see in a feasibility study, which is water balance studies, species at risk, tailings, those characteristics. Currently, the tailings are very clean, non-acid generating, so I suspect we'll go dry stack on these. With regards to valuation, like every other junior, we're undervalued. And we believe that as we execute, we've been around a short period of time, that this valuation spread will start to narrow. Also, we believe that the ramp up, and as we continue to execute, we'll get the re-rates as a result. With regards to our ultimate goal of where we really want to get to, is when you look at the grade profile that we have, the straightforward metallurgy, and the significant resource base that we have, there's no reason why we can't get down into the lower quadrant of mining assets here. And everybody can recognize these assets. They're all held in major companies. If we can get there with significant attributable production, we will have created a very valuable mining asset. So the key takeaways from what we're doing is, I'll mention ESG and CSR. That's part of what is ingrained in our management team. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable to have to mention what we do in that, because it's something that we do every day. So on the CSR and ESG front, like I mentioned, dry stack tailings, if you can do them, you should. We are active in the local community in procuring all local produce and supplies, and we go as local as possible. This 15-ton plant was built with all local labor. Also, the schools, we've upgraded some of the schools in the area and are active in that. our employee base comes from the local area, so we want to make sure that they're well taken care of. And and it's just something that comes natural to us. Safety is another thing that comes natural to us. We've had no lost time incidents this year, so very proud of that. But really, look, we have a significant permitted resource. We have a rejuvenated, very energetic new management team. We're expanding oxide production to provide cash flow to help expand the asset. We have great potential for resource expansion. We have a significant sulfide project under development and are very excited for that. And we have a very attractive valuation versus our peers currently. So I'm really, really excited, and Andrew's excited, and the rest of our management team is really excited for what's happening at Buckreef. And here's our final slide. A lot going on site. You can see our tank construction. You see the ball mill. You see the drilling rig. The ball mill pads there. You see government officials visiting the site. You see one of the schools that we're helping to upgrade in the local area. Liners and tailings facilities being built. Very, very excited for what's going on. So I'll now turn it over to any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions from the audience? Stephen, it's my job to jump in and perhaps ask some of the obvious questions. Any comments on Tanzania?
Yeah, so Tanzania, since Andrew, since we joined Tanzania, and you've been in a lot of these meetings with me, the atmosphere has been great. We've been really well received in Tanzania. We meet with all levels of the Tanzanian government. They're very supportive of what we're doing. As you can see in the bottom picture here, the regional commissioner was on site last week. So we see Tanzania as a significantly improving jurisdiction from an investment perspective. I got that sense prior to joining, given my prior roles were I did a lot of government relations. So, and it's working out just as we predicted. So Tanzania is great.
Yep, good. Thank you very much. Back to the audience. I can't believe that you're all so quiet. Bruce, I'll have to pick on you, I'm afraid. Do you have a question?
No, sure, don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for picking on me.
Sure, you're very welcome. Stephen, just perhaps one more question. What do you think we're going to see from the government in terms of mining legislation?
Yeah, it's my understanding that the next session of Parliament will have a focus on the mining laws again, and I would fully expect to see an improvement from what you saw in 2018 changes, and I fully expect to see it being a lot more investor-friendly nation. They are courting investors to invest in the mining industry. The tourism industry is down. Foreign currency comes from the mining industry. So I fully expect to see more favorable legislation for investors.
Good, and that takes us to the end of the session. Thank you very much, Stephen.